Hello and welcome to the Miss Rolling In podcast. My name is Jacob Staten and as always I'm joined by JJ Armstrong. JJ, how are you?
I am on top of the world. Nottingham Forest are in their first League Cup semi-final in about 1,000 years, I think the stat was. So
92. 31 years.
Unbelievable. I'm feeling great.
Were you even born?
I was born in 93, so no, I was not. Where were you born? You were born on the day of the final, weren't you?
The day of the FA Cup final, 91. Yeah. So I would have been, 10 months old?
Well, there you go. How are you feeling?
Top of the shop, mate. Top of the shop, thank you. We're recording this on Thursday night, and so the day after the Wolves game. But we'll start with, you got a little explanation as to what's going on our Instagram, haven't you, JJ?
Yes, I'm top of the shop other than Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not top of the shop with you, my mate. Our Instagram got taken down just as we were about to close in on 500 followers, which is a massive shame. We accidentally shared a clip of Gustavo Scarpa's beautiful pass to Nico Williams. And apparently there's this thing called copyright infringement. Never heard of it, but they just took it down and deleted our account. We tried to appeal it, but they just deleted our account. So we do have a new one. It's now Mist Rolling In Pod. That's Instagram. I mean, I haven't updated the graphics on this video, so it still says at Mist Rolling Pod on our Instagram just down below on the video. That isn't true anymore. It's Mist Rolling In Pod, which is just a big shame. So please follow us. We were about to hit 500. We've lost all those followers. We've lost all the content. Makes me sad. So seeing as we got through to the semi-final and you're in a good mood, head over to Instagram, drop us a follow, please.
Drop us a follow. Maybe we'll do a competition next week or something.
Nah, gotta wait for it. Come on, get us to 500 again, then you get a competition.
Just while we're on the subject of winning and things, if you head over to our website, which JJ will tell you what it is right now,
missrollingin.co.uk, I think.
Woof. Our wall charts are half price, is that right, JJ?
Half price, 50% off.
Can still be locked in. We still have the Steve Cooper Wembley posters as well. So head over there. Let's fill out our wall charts, get them on the wall. Get this magnificent season, this return to the Premier League memorialised forever.
Anyway, shall we stop trying to shove things down the throat and talk Forest?
Absolutely. So we're going to start with the Blackpool game, FA Cup third round away at Blackpool. I think we all probably could have predicted the starting 11 as maybe not so much as the personnel. I don't think anybody would have seen, is it Billy Fuster?
Well, according to Google lineups, he's called W. Charles Storm Fuster, which is interesting.
I mean, that's a sensational name.
Unbelievable.
But it's like a comic book name.
Yeah.
I think we all could have seen the entirely different 11. I think we mentioned on the last podcast that we straight off the bat viewed the Wolves game as the more important. So yeah, it wasn't a surprise. I mean, I think the first half we didn't necessarily play badly, but it was clear that team had never played together. It was making one or two. Well, I say one or two, making kind of 5 or 6 changes to a core of a team is one thing, but an entirely different 11 is that's kind of pre-season friendly stuff, which I still didn't really mind, but I would have been surprised if it had yielded anything other than what actually happened. Again, I don't necessarily think we played too badly. I think Lewis O'Brien was maybe not finally at fault for both the first 2 goals, but I think the first one he does that header, which is up, not out, which then comes back in and goes into the back of the net. The second goal, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I seem to remember he's at fault for that. Obviously, Nico Williams for the fourth goal with Nico Williams.
Who knows? Who cares?
He takes a really good touch and then he just kicks it backwards. It's really odd. But yeah, I'm happy to. Whilst I appreciate some people can be wildly furious about losing to a lower division team, which, however, was the same division as us last season. I get it, but also I'm happy to kind of wipe my mouth and move on from it. How about you?
Well, I don't know why you're wiping your mouth and moving on for it. I don't think I've heard that saying before. Who knows what happened down in Blackpool? But I was really disappointed. I thought it was a very negative day. That squad on paper should 100% be enough to beat Blackpool, and these are people that, yes, they haven't played together, but they've got the quality, I think, to dismiss Blackpool. Clearly didn't on the day. They haven't had a chance to play in the starting 11 too much. This is their chance to prove themselves. I know they've not played together, but I think at this level, it's not that much of an excuse. If you really, you've still got to have the quality when you're gifted chances that SCARPA's put on a plate for a few people. So Nico Williams, regardless of who he's playing with, shouldn't be making that mistake. Same with Lewis O'Brien. So I just thought it was really, really poor. Not bothered that we lost. Like, I don't care. I'm happy to get out of that cup. I'd rather focus on the league and our impending semi-final. But I was more bothered about just the lack of anything or substance to the people that we're going to be relying on as backup and should be fighting for their place. So thought it was really poor. To give a slightly more realistic view, I was pretty annoyed to see on Twitter the Sam Surridge out contingent saying, and some people said that Taiwo shouldn't be in for this fraud, he can't finish, now can you see? One game doesn't make him a bad finisher. He is,
No.
I think he's the best finisher at the club, and one game of not being able to finish his chances doesn't stop that being the case. You don't just lose it because of one game. He was rubbish. Like, sorry, I love him, but he was pretty poor, and he should have scored 3. I think it was 3, could have even been 4.
Yeah, no, they definitely should have been 3. Definitely should have been 3.
I disappointing, really disappointing. But I back him next time he gets an important chance to bury it, because he is a great finisher, and that doesn't change. And people saying that Taiwo, is the answer just because that proved it. It was one game, and I think the fact that we've got both of them is good. Dennis infuriated me. I think he's so lazy. He doesn't play the simple ball. He doesn't play for the team. He plays for himself. So he can go. Sorry. I know that sounds really negative. Lewis O'Brien shocked me. Yeah, I know. It really upsets me because I thought I'd backed Dennis to be one of the best signings we made. And I was crying out for him, but he's not done it for me. But whatever.
I think he had that really good game against Brentford, didn't he? Where he played as the central striker.
We need to do something different with him.
I think there's clearly something going on. He's clearly not happy for whatever reason. I don't think the club or Steve Cooper or however whichever way around it is. I don't think anyone's happy in that situation. It may be that leaving is the best for all, but Cooper has come out and said he's not leaving, hasn't he? So
you say that, but the Instagram stories, he seems like a really good part of the dressing room, and they all seem to get along. Him and Lingard, Gibbs White and Aurier after the match last night were dancing and laughing and having fun. So I don't think that he's a bad influence in the dressing room is particularly real. I just think for now he's really not doing it, which is a shame. Anyway, we'll move on from this game. I just wanted to wrap up with a few thoughts. Lewis O'Brien, what happened to him since this illness? Real shame. Maybe he needs to go on loan to reclaim some minutes and get himself back to the player he was. Don't know what's happened to him. Last few times I think he's been really poor. Toffolo had a poor game. McKenna and Cook, awful, which I think is really sad. And Nico Williams looked like he'd never played football before. And to say that in the first few weeks I was saying Jed Spence who, that's really sad to see as well. Yeah. But they haven't played much, so I get it. Not too disheartened to go out the cup, just disheartened at the performance they gave, and I'm sure Mr. Cooper won't let it happen again. But anyway, there's more to be positive about, so let's forget about that game. As you said, let's wipe our mouth and move on.
Just one final thought for me. My personal opinion is it was more down to a collection of individual errors as opposed to the team particularly playing badly. Bearing in mind, I'm not saying they played well. I just don't think as a whole they played 4-1 badly.
Scarpa was fantastic as well. He was really good.
they could have maybe made the Ryan Yates change a little earlier. And it's not necessarily because he's an attacking threat, but because he's a leader, isn't he, within the team? That kind of change maybe a little earlier. But yeah, and as you said, Surrey should have had a hat trick. He's not been written off by any means. He's just not played a lot of football. I would have expected him to score, even without Matt sharpness. I still expected him to score maybe one of those chances. But if that hat trick, if those three go in, yeah, I think at the time it's 3-1, 3-2, whatever it is. But I didn't really feel out of the game until it was 3. I thought it was still and yeah. But like you say, let's move on.
Who cares? Who cares? Because what happened next?
Who cares? We've done the FA Cup. It's fine. This season's dream story again is another cup run, JJ. Wednesday, unfortunately, neither of us were there. You obviously live a million miles away, so couldn't make it. I was away working in Bristol, and had no idea what time I'd be coming back. So neither of us went, and I am absolutely gutted. It sounded fantastic. Another night under the light. I do love a midweek game. And it was good to see the return of the first team. It was quite widely known as the first team as well, isn't it? I think AWONIYI's has he got muscle fatigue or something? That's why he wasn't in the team.
Yeah.
I think we did. I personally think we did quite clearly miss the target man on the left side, if you know what I mean. Because obviously Keenan Davis did it last season. AWONIYI are really growing into that role at the minute. So hopefully he's back for Saturday against Leicester. But I think generally, up until we scored our goal, we were absolutely fantastic in just every single aspect. But from that point, there's a little balls to the wall, I think.
Yeah, it was a little ropey following that. I'd just like to say that I wish I was there as well. Lovely to hear a bit of venom and a bit of a bastard atmosphere. Really enjoyed that. For some reason, Wolves have become a little bit of a rival. There's the playtime tweet, which didn't help, and we've got Gibbs White, and they've been slinging pelters at him, and it's quite exciting. I enjoy it. I just don't like Wolves anymore. Something about them. But we started great. We came out the blocks really good. Morgan Gibbs White was unbelievable. I think some of the stuff that he was doing in particular was incredible. I think SCARPA inclusion in Morgan Gibbs White really excited me from the start, thinking how those two could play together, and they both had some great moments. I think SCARPA didn't look too out of depth to say it's a proper competitive debut in the starting 11, not against Blackpool.
He did fade away a little bit, didn't he? But
he did. I think that's to be expected. I think he wouldn't. If Taiwo was fit, I don't think he would have had the chance to start.
No.
So, the best of a bad circumstance being SCARPA is pretty good to me. I really like him. And you can see once he beds in properly, he's going to be a massive asset to the second half of this season. But we started great, and I thought, this is plain sailing. I don't think we've got much to worry about here. Wolves look really poor. We look really good. We all looked on it. We scored. We went up. And then from then, it just wasn't nice to watch. Wasn't fun.
No.
Unfortunately,
it felt a bit like the playoff semi-final to me.
It did. Because I think we knew what was in touching distance, and the pressure starts to build up and get on you, and it's uncharted territory for this team. And I think we handled that well, and I think the crowd handled it well, because it was nice to hear when we were playing so poorly. And I was sitting at home shouting at the TV because I was stressing me out. And I went into the game beforehand saying, if we went out, I'm not bothered again. It wasn't true. It was not true at all when I was watching the game. But it did really important that the crowd lifted them again, just like the playoff semi-final. Yeah. We've got unbelievable support.
Yeah, and obviously Dean Henderson makes a string of really, really, really good saves. Again, it's a shame that it's this I get that he can't play against his parent club. I mean, we'll come on to the draw afterwards as well, but I get he can't play against his parent club afterwards, but I don't like it. For this season, he's our player. We're paying for him. necessarily do the right thing, because you do the right thing by your own club, don't you? But yeah, it's disappointing. So disappointing for him that he's coming into this really good form and he doesn't get to play in a 2-leg semi-final of a cup competition. So shame for him, shame for us because Hennessy has to play. But yeah, he makes some really good saves. Apart from their goal, which was a fantastic pass across the box, by the way, absolutely fantastic. I didn't really feel too threatened by them. I personally think they definitely should have had a penalty when is it Freuler stood on Cunha's foot and his boot came off.
Just because your shoe comes off doesn't mean it's a penalty. There's no rule in football that states that.
When I see you on Saturday, JJ, I'll kick you out of your own shoe and you see if you want a penalty or not.
Well, if my mate gets manhandled about 5 seconds before, then fine. I'll let it go. But if it's unprovoked and nothing else happens, then yeah, give me a pen. I do. They didn't feel threatening. I'll admit I didn't actually see their goal. It was a bit of a nightmare 30 seconds for me. I was watching the game. I was getting a bit stressed because we didn't look great. I saw my dog squat down. I ran into the room as she pissed all over the floor. And the TV said the words, "That's an equaliser for Wolves from Raul Jimenez." So I didn't get to see it because my dog pissed on the floor as Wolves equalised. So, the karma for something that I've done.
It was a bit of nice build up and a lovely ball across the box. Again, didn't really feel threatened even after that. Obviously, with the prospect of penalties, we know Henderson's a good goalkeeper. I don't know how I felt about the players on the pitch to take the penalties. See Surrey stepping up, I thought that might have been a really good opportunity for him to get his. I'd like you to do a scrub back to that bit where you said that he'll take the next big chance that he gets, because he didn't. But I will defend him so much as to say I think that was probably more of a good save than a bad penalty. It was a really full stretch to get to it, and although it wasn't probably wasn't the best height. It was a good height for the keeper. More, it was really, really towards the corner. So it was a really good save. Henderson obviously saves Raul. Jesus Christ, Ruben Neves' penalty. The Morgan Gibbs White one.
It was awful. It was an awful. No,
it wasn't.
It was terrible.
It was good. When he went in, it was right in the corner.
Giving it the big one after taking a penalty like that is incredible. It was an awful penalty.
All that matters is that it goes in.
Yes. Right.
But yeah, celebration. Obviously, just a quick little. In fact, we haven't discussed the goal. The Willy Bolly goal. Because there's not really much to discuss, is there? But his lack of celebration. You requested the transfer away. You know what I mean? You hadn't played for however long it was. Just probably think more about the team that you're at than the team that's not paying for you, in my opinion. I know Alan Shearer hates it, doesn't he, when players don't celebrate scoring against their old clubs. I don't get it. So I liked Gibbs White's celebration. I like to see a little moxie in my players.
I enjoyed it.
And then the Wolves player doing it afterwards. All right. And then Jack Colback doing it.
Yeah, there's a picture of Brendan Loddy. A little bit, it's like, oh, come on, lad, it's a bit embarrassing now. Yeah, I saw a tweet where it was the picture of Jack Colback, and it was like when you're trying to impress the Year 6 lads or something like that.
Yeah.
And I saw a picture of Brendan Loddy doing it. So I don't know what that was all about. It was cool when Gibbs White did it with his eyes closed, staring at the Wolves fans that have been giving him a horrible time over the last few months. But when it gets to Jack Colback doing it, you just think, oh, maybe not. But it spices things up a bit. It spices things up a bit. We've got a great penalty record, it feels like, at the City Ground. It
does, yeah. Obviously, Henderson makes the big save at the end. Wild celebrations. Because, it's not Sky, was it? Whoever was filming it didn't want anyone to have any fun. We don't get to see what follows. Speaking to somebody at work today who was there, they mentioned that apparently Morgan Gibbs White was after his penalty he was stood in the centre circle, obviously in the huddles. He was the one closest to the Wolves players, giving them all jip. So not surprised to hear that it all kicked off afterwards. I mean, I've not really seen too much on Twitter about it either, so it can't have been more probably handbags at dawn. But I like a little bit of spice in my football. It's a bit boring, isn't it? If everyone's handshaking and doing griddies together.
It's a tense game for a semi-final, which is a great opportunity for two struggling sides with a lot of pressure. And like, sure, do what you want. Have a fight, do a Royal Rumble, DDT through the table, Morgan Gibbs White, whatever you want to do. I thought it was great, and it has really rattled and annoyed the Wolves fans since then. Like some of the stuff that they've been coming out with about Morgan Gibbs White's partner, I don't know if she's his fiance or girlfriend or wife or whatever. Some of the stuff they've been coming out about.
As boys say, significant other.
Yeah, whatever. She is. I just think it just proves why he's done that celebration. If you're sort of giving him shit over 180 minutes, the game away at Wolves and this home game in the Cup and online slate him, and I've seen things about them sort of abusing his dad and all that rubbish. He does one thing to say that it doesn't affect him, and they're crying about it. Just take a moment to reflect that life. I know it's Richards sitting here on a podcast online going, well, he was rubbish, but there is a level. Football ain't important enough to just disrespect someone's partner, so I don't really get it. It's just there's some weirdos out there.
Well, also, put his fingers in his ears.
Yeah, that is it.
You know what I mean? Do you remember years ago when we were playing Leicester at home? I'm talking like back in the Billy Davies days, and they scored a last minute. Anthony Knockaert scored a last minute equaliser. He ran into the away fans, like grabbing his own nuts, shaking them at the Forest fans. So, I think there's levels to the disrespect, isn't there? But
yeah, Eric Cantona did once Kung Fu Kicker fan. I mean, if he did that, I can understand why they'd be annoyed. But he did just put his fingers in his ear, so it's not that.
I mean, I do get the Wolves fans not being happy. They've just lost a quarter final. I mean, again, I think they should have had a penalty. It was definitely a game that, following certainly the second half performance, they could have possibly should have won. So I get being aggrieved, but maybe not necessarily at that celebration. So that leads us to the draw, which we've got Man United in the semi-final now. I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, we're gonna go. I'm glad the first leg's at home, so we can try and get something. I think our home form is really, really important. I think it was important not to have the away game first. And, I think we played pretty well against United, and just 3 individual errors cost us. But those 3 individual errors cost us. I think taking 3-0 back to the City ground is a hopeless task. But having something to take to Old Trafford is a different one. So really looking forward to it.
I think the fact that we've just played them is actually a good thing. And I think it was similar with Wolves in that it gives you your team talk. Then it's to say, this is what happened before. We need to rectify that. We need to be better than we were. Let's prove them wrong. It gives you sort of gives you the team talk, and there'll be more up for it off the back of that game. I think Steve Cooper and the rest of the team should be looking at that game and thinking, if it wasn't for these silly errors, they weren't that good, and it would have been interesting to see what would have happened. So I think we should go in full of hope. Anything can happen in the Cup, especially with our home crowd as well. I really wanted Southampton. I thought that would be great, but then, same thing happens. That gives Nathan Jones team talk after what we did Southampton in the league. So to do anything, you've got to beat the best, and I think we've had a really good cup run. We beat Spurs. We beat a good Wolves side, because I think Wolves were good last night. I know they didn't worry us, but they were still
away,
good.
flying high in the Championship.
Blackburn away, they're only a few, really, in the grand scheme of things, they're only a few places below. So it's a big night under the lights at the City ground. It's what you want, really. And whatever happens now, we've been given a semi-final at the City ground for the first time. Do you say since 92?
Yes,
He's worked wonders, and I would like to admit that I booked my Wembley hotel at half-time last night in the Wolves game. Half-time. So when they equalised, I was a bit worried. But I did book my Wembley hotel, so you never know. Any Manchester United fans that would like to purchase a Wembley hotel off me, let me know.
Amazing. Which takes us swiftly into the Leicester match on Saturday. We are going, though we have every intention of doing a match day vlog. JJ's doing dry January, so might not be too much of it in Poets because he might get, might tempt him with the devil's water. But really looking forward to being really looking forward to being back and against Leicester as well. So a huge game, and I can only see a Forest win after recent games. I've stuck my oar out and said 3-1 in our predictions chat, so I'm sticking with 3-1 on here. JJ, what about you?
I'm going for 2-0. I think given our recent form and our home crowd being the way it is, and the fact that they've just been sort of given another key experience to unite the squad even further, and it looks like we've settled on a starting 11. I think it's a great time to play Leicester, who still aren't fantastic. I don't think they've won in the last 3. So the pressure will still be on them. I just think it's a great chance. I do think we'll win. I really hope we win, obviously. But just give them a good game. That's all I really want to see. As I always say, I can stomach losing as long as we play well. It's fine. So I would just like us, because obviously we won against Wolves. We got through to a semi-final. Still wasn't great. And I don't think Cooper, even in his post-match interview, he as much said as, I don't want to be negative, but this is my job. We have to be better than that. He's got high standards. So I hope we can just build upon it. And I think it'll be a great game. Atmosphere will be unreal, as always. And I'm really looking forward. When was the last time we went to the City Ground? Let's have a look. 12th of November against Crystal Palace was the last time we went to the City Ground. That's not true, actually. I was ill. You went to that one.
Liverpool for you?
Yeah, 22nd of October is the last time I went. That's a long time ago. So I'm very excited to be there. 2-0 Forest, I'm going to go for. And I hope Tyler's back as well.
Same. Well, that's it for this episode of the Miss Rolling podcast. If you're joining for the first time, thank you for finding us. And if you've come back again, we love you. You Reds.
And please follow us on Instagram at MissRollingInPod. Thank you.